Welcome back to part 4 of Secret of Evermore, and today I'm going to be taking on the nefarious Vigor in the Colosseum. Maybe it's just Vigor, I'm not sure. Vigor Mortensen. But first, I need to show off my crush spell. I leveled it up a little bit since the last episode, and it's quite potent. I've also got plenty of shots of it, so that's good. And speaking of my pooch, Xander is over here somewhere. Where you at, Xander? Say hello. Say hello to the people. Come on. So I'm restocking all of my ingredients for Crush so that I can continue to spam it on everything in sight. And oh, here he is. He doesn't have a lot to say today. So next stop is Nobilia, the great town to the north. But before I go there, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, go to Crustacea. I need to do a little bit of shopping here. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to this town. And I say that's unfortunate because it's a really interesting looking place. It's like this seaside harbor. Fairly unique. I don't really remember any other area in any game that looks like this, except for one area in EverQuest, but that's like a completely different kind of game. But yeah, just like a little seaside burg filled with pirates and kind of run down little domiciles. So in any case, got some dog biscuits. And what I need to do is go up top and get the Amulet of Annihilation from this guy. Now, between the jewels that I was able to farm from the guys outside and the jewels that I got from the conversion that I just did, I should have enough to get the Amulet of Annihilation. Let's hope. Yep, just enough. Excellent. I'm not actually sure where I'm going to use this amulet, because I have to kind of refresh my memory on that. But whoa, ooh, language, buddy, language. This is a Nintendo game from 1995. But yeah, there's a few places where you can use that amulet. It's a fairly important item. There it is. I also got the Chochobo egg, which hopefully in this version of the game actually does something. Let's find out. Huh, doesn't look like it. My hit points look the same. Well, in any case, got the amulet. Not sure what I'm going to use it for. I think there's something in Gothica that I want to save it for, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I'll have to refresh my memory. Let's see what else is here in Crustacea before I continue onward. An inn. Sure, an inn would be good. Oh, wait, hold on. It looks like the Chochobo egg actually did do something. My HP went up by 45. 45, that's actually not bad at all. Wow. I'm not sure if it did that in the original game. I seem to recall that the Chochobo egg didn't do anything in the original game. There were a number of items that were like that. They just didn't have any effect. So that might be new to the balance patch. I can't say for sure. And over here we've got kind of an eerie, very eerie area here. This whole place is just, I don't know, it's creepy. Maybe it's the music. Just some creepy ambient music, or ambient, is that what it is? Creepy ambient music. If you're describing something as ambient, you pronounce it ambient. But if you're describing the ambiance, then it's ambiance. If that makes sense. It is very, very early in the morning right now, by the way. So, if I sound tired, that's why. I'm up early with my hair curly, working on Secret of Evermore, so that I can bring you another episode. Okay, we got some new armor here. Not sure which ones to get. Because I know you get a couple of upgrades once you get to Nobilia. I think you actually get upgrades to all of this pretty soon. Plus, I'm really low on jewels now due to the amulet that I bought. So, regardless. Okay, we're back. That's enough shopping in Crustacea. It's time to cross the desert. This is a long and tedious portion of the game. Now, you can give this guy right here your Amulet of Annihilation, and he'll actually transport you across the desert. I'm not going to do that, though. I'm going to save that amulet for later. It's too important. And there's definitely a river Styx metaphor to be had here. I think I mentioned that in the previous episode. The skeletal boatman transporting you across the desert. So, the desert. It's a large, empty place. There are a few oases here, and if you're really lucky, an alchemist might appear at one of them who gives you a new formula. It's an attack formula. It's called Sting. I don't think I've ever gotten it before, because the alchemists simply do not appear for me, no matter how many times I run back and forth across this desert. But yeah, it's a very long, laborious trip across the desert. And I have to make this trip like 4 times during this playthrough to go back and forth to and from Nobilia. So yeah, that's one of my least favorite things about Antigua and Evermore in general. Right up there with the mazes. I still have nightmares about the dog maze later on in the game. But you know what? Half the dungeons in the game are mazes. Dark Forest is a bad one too. But yeah, the desert, at least it's not a maze, right? For all of my other trips through the desert, the other 3 or so times that I'm going to have to do this, maybe 4, what I'm going to do is, instead of talking and, you know, having you follow along as I plod through the desert, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlay the video with some desert music that I like from another game. So the question is, what desert themes from which games are going to turn up? It'll be interesting to see. So yeah, it's going to be kind of like my level grinding sprints with the luminous music. Just going to be me sprinting across the desert with a select desert theme, probably from an RPG. It'll be different every time. So look forward to that. Should be fun. Might even get our first installment of that later in this very same video, because I have to come back across the desert to go to the next segment of the game. Basically, I'm just going to Nobilia to get into one boss fight, and then it's back to the Crustacea area. Once I have the dog, I can continue on to the next couple of dungeons, which are 2 of the more interesting dungeons in the game, to say the least. So yeah, I'm going to Nobilia to collect my dog and fight a boss. There's also a lot of trading that can be done there. Some good items that you can acquire. A potent alchemy formula called Atlas, which every time I use the formula Atlas in this playthrough, I will overlay the video with battles. The song Atlas. Oh my god, I'm sleepy right now. Whew! Yeah, I am legitimately very sleepy. And I feel like I'm putting you, the listener, to sleep. And this desert is not helping. Running across this desert is not helping me wake up at all. It's actually quite the opposite. But it looks like we finally made it across. Thank goodness. So, now I go into Nobilia, tool around for a few minutes, check out the merchants in the stalls, maybe talk about this place a little bit while Xander sits here and purrs. You want to say hello? Not right now? Okay. This guy actually gives you a breastplate, but I'm not sure if I can get it yet or if I have to come back and talk to him in a little bit. See, this is a nice little fourth wall break, because it's like the fourth wall and the third wall, and maybe a little bit of the fifth wall as well, because he's talking about you, the player, controlling the game, but he's also talking about the world of Evermore itself not being real. It's like a virtual world. So it's a virtual world within a virtual world. Man, it's deep. You haven't even seen the guy. That's really creepy. So their new leader is faceless. I'm guessing that they don't democratically elect their leaders here. Either that or he's just really good at debating, and it's like Richard Nixon 1960 syndrome. They don't have televisions, so... Okay, here we go, Atlas. You need an Atlas medallion. Yeah, I'll take one. Use your medallion. Okay, okay. Very good. Can I have another, sir? Excellent. Well, in any case, Atlas is a spell that makes your attacks do a lot more damage temporarily. Gives you a big attack power boost. Is that why all these crates are piled up? Pixie dust, what does that do? I do not remember. I'm gonna have to buy one of those later on just to try it out. See what happens. If nothing else, I'm guessing it's good snorting. Okay, a jeweled scarab. I will take, no, I can't. I can't. I don't have any stuff to trade. I haven't been working the market, so don't have any rice, don't have any chickens, don't have any pots, don't have any spice, don't have anything. But I do have 2 Atlas armlets now, or Atlas medallions, whatever they are. So I can cast Atlas twice. Question is, when will I do it? I don't know. Some later point in the game when I need to use physical attacks, I will dish out the Atlas spell. It'll be a monumental moment. Wait, what? He just told me how to make ramen? Now he's Kurt Angle. This is a video game. Yeah, this guy's just a total nutcase. So for that part, you don't want to turn him into anything. Just hit the cancel button, back out of that menu, leave him be, and you'll get a new suit of armor. Alright, time for the big meeting in the town square. Basically, you have to kill about 15 minutes in Nobilia to trigger this next event. And yes, that is your dog. He is now the sacred dog. He is sleek. Very sleek, very sexy. Sexy dog. My cat was just looking around when he heard that little bark. It's a very good synthesized bark, actually. Sounds pretty realistic. There's enough to get Xander looking around. Where'd that come from? So, now that our dog has sniffed out our hero and chosen him, it is he who must fight in the Colosseum. Tiny. His name's ironic. There are a couple of items that you can get in here, I believe. You have to sneak through the walls. The music on this part is interesting. I don't feel like I remember this particular track. Does this play somewhere else? Or is it just this one room? Because that would be odd. Well, it seems like a fairly short track. Not a whole lot to it. Sounded like it might have been the beginning of something, but now it's just looping. Okay. Gonna investigate the area. See what items I can scrounge up. Ooh. Alright, we got a new helmet and a new bracer. Excellent. That's a nice upgrade. And I just realized... Yes, the guy in Nobilia who gave me the bronze armor, if I already had the bronze armor from Crustacea, if I had bought it in Crustacea rather, then he would have given me the stone vest instead. But I just got the stone vest anyway. So then the question becomes, if you get the stone vest from him, what do you get here? Do you get the next armor up? Or do you get another stone vest? That I don't know. Presumably you would still get another stone vest, but I can't say for sure. I think the dog might need an armor upgrade as well. Did I get him a spiky collar? I don't think I did. Well, either way, he'll be okay for now. So he's going to miss another fight here, which is too bad because he really needs to catch up in experience. Our hero has gotten ahead of him. Here we've got the malevolent boss theme as the Vigor battle begins. Now, if you really squint, you can see a few Final Fantasy VI characters in the audience right there. It's the main event, brother. Entering the Colosseum, the King of Chaos, the Babylonian Bruiser, the pulverizing Prince of Pandemonium, Vigor, the Indestructible. And here he is. He's not a very good driver, but we'll overlook that. He has a really weird looking sprite. Like, I can't really tell what the hell he's supposed to be. I know he's a dude in a chariot, but yeah, it's just an odd sprite. One cool thing to note here is that depending on what weapon you're holding when you walk into this room, they might actually say something different. If you're using the spear like I am, they'll say some loser with a stick. But if you're holding the axe, it's some loser with a claw. And if you're holding the bone crusher, it's some loser with a femur. So yeah, just a funny little note there. In my case, I pretty much always bring the spear to this fight because I never level up the axe. It's just not useful enough. So what I usually do on this fight is I chuck the spear at him because I'll have like the level 3 spear at this point. It'll be maxed out and I'll just shoot that spear at him like a laser beam. Just does a lot of damage. But for this playthrough I don't have the laser beam spear. All I have is just the level 2 chuckin' spear. So instead I'm just going to spam crush and just break him in half, basically. It's very cheesy, but hey, you win where you can, by any means necessary. And it's a quick fight if you've leveled up charge. Although it's just as quick if you've leveled up the spear. And you just like fire spear lasers. And on that note, Stolteheim is our new champion. And the Gladiator Sword is the first real sword of the game. It's a lot like the Bone Crusher, except it's a sword. So yeah, the very first weapon that you get in Secret of Mana. You don't get one until probably about a third of the way through Secret of Evermore. Maybe a quarter. Might be closer to a quarter. But in any case, yeah, we're pretty far from the beginning. Finally getting our first sword. But yeah, usually I don't even bother with the Gladiator Sword. I just keep using the Horn Spear. You know, the powered up laser spear. But for this playthrough, I'm actually going to bounce the weapons around a little bit. Try to level them all up. Especially the axe. Just so I can see what the level 3 axe attacks look like. I always neglect the axe. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to level up all the weapons. I think that might be a big waste of time. But I'm going to bounce around between them. I'm not just going to stick to 1 or 2 weapons for the whole game like I used to do. There's no need to. The balance patch fixes a lot of those issues. Oh, we've also got the dog back now, so he can start catching up on levels, which is sorely needed at this point. Some chicken feed, that's not very useful. What alchemy formulas use it? Probably none of them. So yeah, now that the Vigor fight is over, you pretty much have free reign to spend as much time as you want in the Nobilia marketplace, making trades, playing the system. And let's take a look at the Gladiator Sword. It is at 31% of the way to level 2. So it looks like about a quarter of the points I accumulated on the Bone Crusher carried over onto the Gladiator Sword. So it's not starting at 0. That's good. And on that note, it's time for that desert music I promised you. Now you might be wondering, what game was that desert music from? Well, it is a Final Fantasy game. It's one of the newer Final Fantasy games. It's not part of the main series, though. And the answer is the desert theme from World of Final Fantasy for the PS4. Interesting game. It has some very, very nice tracks. Some solid music. Super simplistic game, though. You basically just auto battle for most of it. In any case, so yeah, we crossed the desert, we listened to some sick jams, and now it's time to head for the Hall of Colossia. Let's try out this new sword, shall we? Or we can just use Crush. Whatever. I can just spam Crush for the entire rest of the game, actually. Don't worry, the sword is going to get some use. If I can get in close enough to actually get some hits with it, though. Those guys hit way, way too hard, by the way. And I'm pretty sure the dog... Yep, the dog's down. Yeah. I should probably revive him. I kind of want to just revive him when we get to where we're going, but I actually need him to get past this part. Yeah, there are a couple parts in this portion of the game where you have to switch to the dog to get through a specific area. He has those jumping abilities. Now, the next part of the game, like I mentioned, it has two of the more interesting dungeons. There's the Hall of Colossia and the Great Pyramid. Neither one of them is a straight-up maze, thankfully, but they do have some maze elements. Regardless, they're both a lot of fun, and they have excellent music as well. Great atmosphere in both places, especially the Hall of Colossia. I believe you can do them in either order as well. You can do the Great Pyramid first if you want to. I personally am going to do the Hall of Colossia first. I think that's what the game intends you to do, but I do know that in the past I've done the Great Pyramid first. There are actually a couple very minor sequence breaks in this game where you can do things slightly out of order. Now, for this part, I'm going to jump down the pit to get to Horus's camp. Save a little bit of time. I actually don't think I have a choice. I think you need the revealer formula just to make the bridge appear. I don't think the bridge is there already. It might be there already. Who knows? Either way, you definitely want that formula. Yes, so Horus is another one of the refugees from Podunk, stranded here in the virtual world. Horus is probably the most interesting of the stranded characters, because each of these 4 provinces is basically based on the person who thought it up, the person who dreamt it up. So Antiqua is essentially a figment of Horus's imagination, which instantly makes him very interesting. You know, when I was a kid, I studied all of these eras too. I studied the prehistoric era. I studied the era of antiquity, which is what this is. I think I probably studied this era the most. I just love the Bronze Age. I studied the Renaissance Gothic era as well, but to a much lesser extent. So yeah, 4 very cool, distinct areas in this game. patterned after different time periods. The fourth and final one is very futuristic. It's not a historical period at all. Kind of a sci-fi world. But we'll get to that. Right now, I think I need to buy some roots, because it's been a little while since I was able to pick up any of those. And he's got a few new ingredients too, things I haven't seen in other places. So yeah, time to restock. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any limestone, but I believe I got a ton of those from that last merchant, so I think I'm okay. Alright, remember that. We have to check the walls once we get to the halls of Colossia. I love this dig site, by the way, too. You have these holes in the ground, and they're full of little artifacts that they found. It's like a rusty breastplate. It's just really cool and atmospheric, you know. They didn't need to make this camp as imaginative as they did. We just had a nice nap on some bear skins, I think. It's the closest they have to a mattress in antiquity. I'm just going to keep calling it antiquity instead of antiqua. I like saying antiquity. Ooh, look at these trees. Damn. Got some nice trees over here. Beautiful kind of autumn red trees. Gotta say I like it. There are a few ways out of this camp, but for right now, I just need to remember which way goes to the halls of Colossia. Alright, here we go. This is where we start using Revealer. It does exactly what you think it does. It illuminates bridges over pits. Damn it, I hate these guys. Once I start a fight with one of these guys, it's really hard for me to stop fighting them. It's like, even if it's taking way too long to kill them, and it's not worth it, I just keep fighting onward because I have to win the fight. You know? Alright, this is it. The halls of Colossia. Just the steps leading up to this dungeon are awesome. And then you got the stone pillars. Checking on the gladiator sword real quick. It's coming along slowly. I think I'm gonna build it up a bit. This spot right here is actually a primo level grinding spot. It might actually be better than the cave down by the river. The cave down by the river. See, that area just had one mad monk. Mad monks drop a lot of money. So there's one mad monk and two pirates. They drop a lot less money. Probably less experience too. This area out here though, there are 4 mad monks. So if you can get all 4 of them on screen at once and drop a crush on them, that's a ton of jewels right there. Alright, Rhinebeck. Still nowhere near being caught up on levels, but at least his experience is moving. And I would be remiss if I didn't start talking about the Halls of Colossia right now. This place is the coolest dungeon in the entire game. The music here is amazing. It's gorgeous music. And the actual dungeon is excellent. It's got a good layout. It's not too confusing. It's memorable, and it looks great. Just the lighting effects and the torches on the pillars and everything. Just a beautiful dungeon. And yeah, you combine that with the music, and it's just a fantastic experience. I think this particular dungeon is where the game really got me as a kid, where I really stopped and went, man, I really like this game. I really like what's happening right now. This is kind of like what I imagine the Dark Palace in Secret of Mana would have been like if it hadn't been so abbreviated. Because the Dark Palace is one of those areas in Secret of Mana where you can really tell that they cut a lot of content. But yeah, if that area had been fully realized, I think it would have been a lot like this, actually. Like, a lot. You know, dimly lit, torches, somber tone. Alright, let's hope for a nectar. Yes. Excellent. I'm going to just be quiet and kind of let the music play. So basically the Halls of Colossia have several different wings that branch off of the main room, and each one of these wings has a different thing that you have to do to open up a different wing. So for this particular wing, you have to find a switch and step on that switch, then go back to the main room and it'll give you access to the next wing. So I think we're running out of time for today. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the switch in this wing and head back to the main room, and that'll do it for this episode. Alas. Tune in for the next episode where I'm going to take on the rest of the Hall of Colossia, actually finish this dungeon. And there's a lot left to go after that. Evermore has just begun, so stick with me. Huh. Okay, I'm clearly missing something here. Alright. Clearly I messed something up. I'm gonna have to go back through that wing again and take another look for that switch. And maybe consult a guide. That would be wise as well. Yeah. Wouldn't it be terrible if you did land on the spikes and you had like this Mortal Kombat spike pit animation that played with your character plummeting to his death? And on that note, that concludes episode 4. I will see you guys very soon for episode 5.